dark of the night, whispers of deceit.
Shadows dance on the walls.
Secrets they repeat. A shadow figure
with eyes full of light.
Hiding truths in the shadows where no one dares to pry. Uncover the truth, let the lies come undone. Peel back the layers until the light is shown. Uncover the truth, let the shadows run. Break free from the chains and find the sun. Uncover the truth in the dead of the night, where secrets lie hidden like a whispered bite. Uncover the truth in the dim of the light, where betrayals take root in the heart of the fight. In the rain-soaked streets, under the moon's pale light, a crime unfolds with a twisted, sinister mind. A knife.
I don't know if we talked about it, but did you see the title?
Yeah, of course I did.
That's a good one, right?
Yeah. The baseball steroid scandal, of course. Now you're frozen, just so you know.
Yes, I am. It looks like yelling. Oh, we switched sides.
Yeah, we switched sides just like that. Just like that. Yeah, so this is very important because the WNBA is going through this right now.
Steroids?
Well, the steroids were a direct result of the baseball strike, I believe.
Correct. Yes. Great point. You're correct.
The baseball strike from 1994 decimated the league. It was the first time, I believe, ever, or the first time in like 100 years that the World Series was not played. So that was monumental at the time and still would be today. And our issues the WNBA is facing right now. What happened was it started October 12th, 1994. It went to April 2nd, 1995. That's how long the stoppage was. It was 232 days. And the core dispute was over salary cap, revenue sharing. And those are some of the core issues the WNBA is arguing over. And, the owners wanted to dock the players because of the revenue lost, which was about 800 or 580 million in revenue. And the players lost 230 million in salaries. So this is the genesis of really what started the steroid boom. There was a federal injunction in 1995 which bound parties to the expired CBA, and that's what just continued. So really, the strike was for nothing.
Right.
So 1995 attendances dipped. The league had the least amount of interest, and it was probably the first time ever that football surpassed baseball, I think. Baseball was no longer the national pastime. People were pissed because of this and hockey. So to get people back into the fold, I think the players took it upon themselves to make it more of an exciting contest. And in doing that, they started using performance enhancing drugs. And there was a great documentary on this on Netflix with Victor Conti. He was the guy who worked with Barry Bonds and several others. He claimed he was a doctor or scientist, and he was none of that. and he was working with Balco.
And
Balco,
we did Balco, right? Didn't we do Balco as one of our books?
no,
We didn't. Okay.
no,
Thought maybe we did.
no. So Balco was the really the company that Victor Conti started, and he was, now people say that he was using the players as basically guinea pigs to try different concoctions on to make his product better, to find the best combination of steroids that would work best. And Victor Conti started Balco as a quote unquote sport supplement company, which it never came close to being. Now, he was self taught nutrition, and a device to devise a system of testing athletes for mineral deficiencies in order to pertain like a good balance of minerals. And he did a ton of urine and blood testing. And he would monitor and treat the shortages in athletes. And this was supposedly all above board, elevating their physical wellness dramatically. And he himself survived many financial hardships because he got divorced. As you know, divorce is not cheap. We've seen many cases where divorce causes a lot of issues. I'm watching a case right now that a wife basically murdered her husband because she didn't want to get divorced over mutual agreement. So the fact, like, you would walk into his office and you would see pictures of Barry Bonds, Rafael Palmeiro, Bill Romanowski was one of them. You'd see these pictures of autographed players in his office, and you'd think, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. And people always say he portrayed himself as a doctor, but he didn't. Things got progressively worse, if you recall, with Marion Jones. You recall Marion Jones?
That. Yep.
You're frozen again.
Oh, I do remember Marion. She was a hero.
So Marion and her boyfriend, they were
CJ Hunter.
CJ was a shot putter.
Yep.
So now the key with Marion Jones was she wasn't necessarily suspected, and she passed every drug test she was ever given. But that's why Victor Conte was considered, the mastermind behind drugs, behind how to use performance enhancing drugs. And this is also the genesis which led to Lance Armstrong getting involved, because Victor Conti was one of the first. He used 5 basically different types of drugs along with mineral substance, and he achieved optimum results with it. And the first was EPO. EPO is
right.
the drug that, if you recall, that's what Lance Armstrong used predominantly.
Yep.
It's a hormone that naturally is produced, but it's used to treat anemia, but it's not something that even the Olympics were testing for. So Major League Baseball, they weren't testing for it. I mean, he was ahead of the game as far as figuring out what to use. The other was HGH. HGH in the 90s was not used as prominent as it is today. HGH, if you know, HGH makes you feel like you're 18 again. It speeds up your metabolism. It helps, as opposed to taking testosterone. When you take HGH, it builds lean muscle mass. And legally, It's marketed for the treatment of like being dwarfism, basically. That's how they get it. But other than that, it's not really treated for anything in humans. But it builds lean muscle mass, and to a powerful degree that it helps different athletes of different sports. And the other drugs he used, I don't know if you've heard of this one,
Clear?
modafinil. The clear was just testosterone. The clear was just testosterone, or the clear and the cream were just test. And it's similar. Like I take TRT, testosterone.
Keeps you awake. Modafinil.
Yes, it's a stimulant. And it was funny because Diana got in trouble. She got caught with it overseas.
Oh, she did?
Yeah. But
Well,
it's prescribed for sleep disorders. It's prescribed for narcolepsy. I took it at one time for they thought I had narcolepsy because I was falling asleep in our football meetings. But
it increases dopamine levels.
yes.
And extends time to exhaustion in high intensity exercise by roughly 22%.
Yes, it lets you work out a lot harder. Yes. Much harder.
I got to get myself on some modafinil.
Yeah, I mean, it's your doctor can prescribe it. I just remember getting insurance approval was challenging for it because you had to see a specialist. Like I had to go to a sleep clinic. It was a pain in the ass to get it approved by insurance. And then you had the cream and the clear. The cream was what you rub on your arm, which now is prevalent for TRT, testosterone replacement therapy.
Correct.
That's what people use. It trims body fat. It builds muscle. It's less effective than testosterone injections, but it did not cause like the significant rise in testosterone levels. So whenever you get tested, there's a certain threshold that if you're over, they consider failing you. And then the clear was considered THG. It was a designer steroid that provides the same effects to users as testosterone or other anabolic steroids. And these were the main steroids distributed by Balco. And the federal investigation took place in 2002. But if you go back to 95, 96, 97, the home run rate in baseball went through the roof. Guys starting getting juiced, guys starting getting bigger, stronger, faster. And that is what drew people back to the ballpark. And I still recall vividly the home run battle of 1998 between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. Do you remember that? How crazy that was?
Yes, it was unbelievable.
I mean, I wasn't a Giants fan. I wasn't a Cubs fan. But any second I got to watch Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa play, I mean, it was all eyes on.
Mark McGwire.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Mark McGwire.
You know what was so interesting about it was Barry Bonds saw Sosa and McGwire smashing all those home runs, and he said,
and he got pissed.
He's like, I'm the greatest player in the game, which he was at the time.
He would have been in the Hall of Fame before any of this. Yes.
Oh, yeah. He was already a Hall of Famer. He was the best player in the game. But he was starting to get a little bit older.
Yeah.
And he saw this. He knew they obviously were doing something. And it's one of those interesting things. Like people always are like, what would happen if the best player took illegal substances? There's your answer.
Yeah.
There is your answer. Like really taking illegal stuff. He like obliterated. I mean,
well, it was an anomaly because of his age.
Yes.
Because he got
late 30s, maybe late 30s.
He was in his late 30s and he was getting better as he got older, which is never happened. Never, ever happened. So it got so bad. I think it was 2001 or 2003 where Bonds broke Mark McGwire's single season home run record. He had, I think McGwire had 73, and Bonds passed him for both. The single season, McGwire wasn't up there for all time. Then Bonds passed McGwire, or passed Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron for the all-time home runs record. So the USADA began its own covert investigation on Victor Conti in the summer of 2003 because the numbers just weren't adding up. And I remember the congressional hearing they had in, I think it was 2005, where that was the one where Sammy Sosa pretended he didn't know how to speak English. Palmero pointed back to everyone in Congress and said, no, I've never used performance-enhancing drugs. And then he flunked the steroid test the next year. But then you had a couple who came out and admitted to it. Jason Giambi admitted to it. And the book that also brought things crashing down was Jose Canseco, who wrote a book and basically called out everyone who was juicing.
Right. That was a big part of it. Yes.
That was huge. Jose Canseco writes his book, Juiced, How Major League got back and basically looked the other way. And they somewhat needed to because of how the state of the league was after the strike. The strike is the catalyst for all of this. The baseball strike happens, ratings go down, attendance go down, and baseball is desperately trying to get things fixed. And the players themselves took it upon themselves to do so. And that's why you saw so many huge numbers. God, there was that guy on the Rangers or Astros, Jeff Bagwell and somebody else who just had numbers that were out of this world. And that built fan excitement. That brought the fans back to the stands. Ratings hit a record high. 1998 was huge. I think, was it 98 when St. Louis and McGwire won the World Series? I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure 98 was St. Louis. Tony La Russa was the manager. But then, the investigation was held by a famous FBI agent. I don't know if USADA agent, an FBI agent, Jeff Nowinski. Do you remember hearing that name?
No. Is that the name, concussion guy?
No, that's Chris Nowinski.
Oh.
Jeff Nowitzki, I think his name was. He ended up working for USADA, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
gave like he was a ghost. Like nobody knew about him. He gave his first public interview during the Netflix documentary. So the media coverage of the Balco case was huge. There were two journalists from the San Francisco Chronicle who wrote the book covering the story, Game of Shadows, the Balco scandal. And they also broke the story about U.S. track coach Trevor Graham and
Yep,
his
that's who blew,
admission.
blew the whistle, I think, right?
Yeah, he admitted he turned in a syringe that was laced with THG, which was the clear, to investigators. That was how everything got started. And they also wrote about CJ Hunter. And he interviewed with an IRS agent, and Hunter told the agents that Jones took performance enhancing drugs during the 2000 Olympic Games in Sydney. And he said that he injected Jones himself, and he admitted to taking the steroids, and he admitted that they were done through Conti. The other thing was groundbreaking. On October 16, 2024, there was a secret audio recording of Greg Anderson and Barry Bonds stating that Bonds had been using steroids provided to him by Victor Conti himself. Anderson also revealed the names of numerous Olympic athletes who have been provided with the clear. And Bonds boasted that they would never fail drug tests because it was undetectable.
Right.
And it was undetectable. And as you know, athletes and these scientists, chemists, nutritionists, whatever, they always find something to get ahead of the testing, to get ahead of the times, something that nobody's going to know of, somebody no one's going to test for. So, I mean, the scandal, baseball, despite all this, I didn't know if you knew this, they had no established policy against steroids.
Really?
Leading up to this, yes. Bud Selig finally instituted a written league-wide policy. For the first time, a player fails, it's an 81-game suspension. The second time, it's a full year. The third time, a player's given a lifetime ban. So people also blame Bud Selig because clearly you could see what was going on. You could see what was happening. You could see that the numbers were massively inflated. You could see the guys were massively inflated. Do you remember the picture they showed with Barry Bonds' head side by side from like 2002 to 1998, and how his head was like massive, and he would never appear in public without like 3 t-shirts on because he didn't want anyone to see his body. And then Greg Anderson, his personal trainer, during the trial, the government tried Barry Bonds, and Greg Anderson, his trainer, refused to testify. So he was held in contempt of court. He served a 3-month jail sentence, and then he served a 3-month house arrest. And because they had a trial about it. And then the other one was I thought the government completely wasted their time because they go through all this, the steroid scandal, yada, yada, yada. They try Barry Bonds. He is found innocent, well, not guilty, on all charges except like one minor obstruction of justice charge. Roger Clemens, if you remember, he gets exposed by his former trainer. I think it was Greg McNamee. He was a New York guy. McNamee saved a syringe and a beer can bottle, turned it over to investigators, and have found they contained steroids, and it had Clemens, his DNA on it. But there were chain of custody issues. The Clemens case was beyond absurd because it didn't go to trial until the allegations were in 2007, 2008. It didn't go to trial until 2012. And he was found basically not guilty of all charges. So you have the government spending millions upon millions of dollars on this investigation. And it was just like, why? Like, why? Who cares? I think the public was just fed up with why the government would go after these guys and spend that kind of money to try them, and they couldn't even get convictions. And then, like I said, Barry Bonds blew the whistle on everyone. One of them was also Alex Rodriguez. Alex Rodriguez denied it, and Andy Pettit was another one. They all denied it. And eventually they came clean and said that, okay, I did it. And they were forgiven. And McGuire was accepted back. He didn't admit until 2009, 2010. And then if you remember the Mitchell report, George Mitchell was tasked with going through and interviewing players. He didn't have subpoena power or anything, but if you ever read the Mitchell report, it is just unbelievable.
I heard about it.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how it happened. It's unbelievable the number of players who did it. But you have to remember, this is the difference between a $2 million salary and a $30 million salary. Yep. And if it were that much of a difference, and if you're looking at this and you're saying, I can take this supplement and I can make $30 million more, what are you going to do?
At the time, yeah, man.
It's life-changing money. It's life-changing money. So the next to fall was Lance Armstrong. Lance Armstrong exude his power and influence and popularity throughout his cycling career. And everyone has said that had he not come back in the late 2000s, he retired. He was a 5-time or 7-time Tour de France champion. And he came back, and that is when he started to that's when he got caught. Had he not come back, it was just being guilty. It was just really being guilty. And they all talked about, the other thing was in the clubhouse, the talk of steroids was normal.
Right.
Teammates openly talked about it. What are you on? What are you on? What works best for you? And to this day, it's blown up as far as guys getting in the Hall of Fame. You know,
Well, they don't get in the Hall of Fame, right?
that's the thing. I mean, do you believe that Clemens and Bonds and those guys should not be in the Hall of Fame because of it? We've had some strange Hall of Fame inductions lately because of it.
Yeah, I think it's
The
think it's-
baseball's all-time home run leader. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
it should be in the Hall of Fame.
Roger Clemens, arguably the greatest pitcher of all times. Of all time, should be in the Hall of Fame. Correct?
Well, everybody begins to wonder, did they do that well because of it? You know what I mean?
I think it. Yes. See, that's where I think people don't quite understand the effect of steroids. You can't just take a shock trooper, a nonner, and put them on steroids, and all of a sudden they're going to be this dynamic Barry Sanders-like player or Barry Bonds-like player. It doesn't happen like that.
Right on.
If you have the skill already, if you're a talented hitter, it's going to make you a better hitter. If you're a home run hitter, it's going to make you a better home run hitter. It's going to make you a better all-around athlete.
Right.
But as you know, what do people typically say the hardest thing to do in sports is?
Hit a baseball.
My point exactly. Hit a baseball. So Bill Romanowski, who was on the list, is Bill Romanowski going to go out there and hit 50 home runs and bat 350? No. You have to have natural ability and talent. The steroids it magnifies it. It magnifies it. And, now they have increased testing to include more substances, and it's gotten more and more over time. But again, the punishment, this is the question everyone asks. How do you think voters should weigh statistical dominance against current confirmed PED use? And are there consistent principles? And which careers do you think were most unfairly judged, and which were penalized in the court of public opinion instead?
Which were unfairly judged.
Well, I mean, I think Barry Bonds.
I think
they
all did it. They all did it. Which
Jeff Kaminsky, that was the guy I was thinking of. Jeff Kaminsky of the Astros had amazing numbers. He was another PED guy.
Kaminsky?
Yeah, Jeff Kaminsky. It was Bagwell and Kaminsky. But Kaminsky was the bigger, stronger guy who had a couple outrageous. He was the Major League MVP, I think, in 96 or 97. He was unbelievable. But, I mean, the scandal permanently altered how we interpret the 90s, the late 90s, and the 2000s, the record books. But again, the main question is, how should Hall of Fame voters weigh statistical dominance, which they had, against guys that use PEDs?
Well, it depends on how many guys are actually doing them, and you're never able to judge that. That's the problem. So my thought process is that,
well, you can judge a lot.
Like Barry Bonds, I don't know, like they're trying to throw it off.
Barry Bonds has never admitted to this day that he
Right.
did it.
Yep, never admitted it.
The other guys have. The other guys have come out. You know, McGuire came out. I'm not sure if
Got
Sosa
me.
did.
You got me. He said basically.
Well, see, they didn't get him, but baseball pretty much banished him.
Right.
And then when he admitted it, he's had a chance to come back, and he's been a hitting coach. He's been able to come back and still be involved in the game. Bonds has pretty much been exiled. Clemens has pretty much been exiled. I mean, you would see him cheering for his kids' games in college and then minor leagues, but they are not in the Hall of Fame. They're exiled. Even, Andy Pettitte with his apology. Alex Rodriguez with his apology. Jason Giambi. I mean, none of these guys have moved the needle to get into the Hall of Fame. And it's being held against them because they used PEDs and then admitted it.
Well, it depends on what you think the Hall of Fame should or shouldn't be.
I use the O.J. Simpson factor. O.J. Simpson's still in the Hall of Fame.
Well, Major League Baseball is different.
Major League Baseball's different.
I will say this. Is there anybody that's all in the Hall of Fame that somehow bona fide, cheated the game?
I mean,
I'm
not
just asking.
really. I don't think so. Not that I can think of. I think that there's guys in recent years that have gotten in that may have been less deserving of getting in that got in because the PED users were passed over. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think Barry Bonds. I think he should be in.
I think Bonds just because of his career before.
How about McGuire his career before?
I think McGuire should be too. I think Bonds, McGuire, and Clemens should all be in. I think Rodriguez should be in. Rodriguez commanded one of the highest trades in baseball history before he started using. And he retired basically early because he couldn't use anymore. And he wasn't going to be able to break Bonds' home run record mark. When he was on a tear year after year after year.
I remember that.
They thought that he was going to break Bonds' record in probably 3 years.
Yeah.
And then his career just went off a cliff. And he retired. So that's the thing. The scandal affected so many players. It affected the league, and a lot of people blame the league because they knew, yet they had no steroid policy until it was instituted in like 2002, 2003. When they did the other issue was they did a blind steroid test. And if guys failed, they didn't get in trouble. And they found out it was a whopping number, like 60% of the league or something tested positive for a banned substance.
Really?
Yes. If you look at it, yes. They did a blind test. And that's when they realized they had a problem. They instituted the policy. But then that also, Lance Armstrong was using in the late 90s to 2000s, coming back from his cancer treatment. He basically forced other members of his team on the Tour de France to use. And if you spoke out against him, if you came at him, he came at you. He sued people. He sued publications. He he used the full power of his finances to dominate you. And then he goes on Oprah and admits, yeah, sorry, I did it. My bad. Which I thought was hilarious.
That is hilarious. Oprah.
But the question is, I mean, do you think it still goes on today?
Do I think it's steroids?
Yeah. Do you think it goes on today? Do you think there's a substance that people use that is undetectable? Do you think that they've gained an advantage from it?
Well, they definitely gained an advantage from it.
I don't see it in baseball because you don't see the inflated numbers. Football, I just think guys train hard. I don't think there's anything in football that would indicate to me. And football has a pretty stringent drug testing policy. UFC was the one. There was a debate because they had initially allowed TRT replacement therapy, and then they stopped. And then they dumped USADA, which was the strongest group for drug testing. They use another group. But I don't know that it goes on as much today.
Right.
Just because we haven't seen anyone stick out publicly to do so. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. But I unfortunately have to hit the road. But you see the ripple effect that it had. It was the major league strike that started it all. The attendance went down. Then it came back because everyone was juiced. Everyone was putting up good numbers. The game became exciting again. Other athletes got involved. Balco was the leader in doing all this. And then from there, Lance Armstrong got involved. He was doing it. It infiltrated the Olympics, and it affected the lives of so many. Baseball got rich off of it. Baseball got better TV contracts off of it. The players got rich off of it. And it spread throughout so many other landscapes and sports. And you're still seeing the effect today because guys aren't getting into the Hall of Fame. There are so many players that should be voted into the Hall of Fame that aren't in. And to me, I think that's wrong. I think you have to be judged by the period. Because like guys who got in the 1950s wouldn't get in today based on their numbers. You're judged by the era that you played in. And the era that these guys played in, that was the norm.
Right. Well,
so that's what I would say. I think they should get in the Hall. I think the steroid scandal completely changed the game. It might have even saved the game because I mean, not that baseball would have ever folded, but the NHL, if you look on the other hand, the NHL striked at the same time the baseball did. The NHL really never, out of all the main pro sports, the NHL generates the least amount of revenue and probably pays the least compared to the other sports. Had NHL players been involved, maybe their sport would have hit a boom. And to this day, the NHL is the least out of all the major sports.
Right.
Like you're not kicking down any doors to go see the Rangers play.
No, I'm definitely not. Not me.
You're not spending hundreds of dollars on a ticket.
Heck no.
Uh,
Heck no. Are you?
Fuck no. I don't like that. I don't like hockey.
You don't like hockey?
No.
No.
For another banner, Bloodlines and Betrayal. Coach Schumann, prospectpodcast.com. When's our fucking thing going up? Rebel Republic, Husky Hub, when's that going up?
Husky Hub is done.
Oh, you do have it done.
Done, yeah.
All right, good. I got
The podcast is not integrated yet. But
I got 15,000 people that have asked me to come on. So, and Tyler is very angry. He wants to come back on Rebel Republic. He says he's been exiled. I said, Tyler, we bring you on. I said we get flagged by Google because of your shocking content.
You should tell him that
I told him, I said you spread misinformation. Google calls it, and then it doesn't appear in people's feeds because of it. And he said that's because Google's owned by Israelis. No, seriously, that's what he said yesterday. He was furious about it.
I believe it. I believe he believes that. Has he become a leftist? What is he?
No, he's a staunch Republican. He just believes that we bend over backwards and take it off
the Nazi side now.
He says we bend over and take it up the ass from Israel.
But he's a Nazi.
But he's angry because he doesn't get to come on. And I said, Tyler, we can't put you on because we get flagged by Google. We get strikes because Google says you spread misinformation or shocking content. And he said, well, they should be. He said sometimes the truth is shocking. Nothing I spread is misinformation. I'll source it. TikTok's not a reputable source, Tyler.
Yeah, the earth is flat.
He's mad, but Frank's not going to be on Monday, so maybe we can have him on and see.
Frank's not going to be on. Why? What's going on, Frankie?
He's going on the cruise.
Oh, the cruise.
You were paying attention. Well, we had technical difficulties, but yeah, he's going on the cruise, Disney cruise. So I told Tyler I will see about having him on and if he can behave himself. And he said that he'll use code words or whatever, what he's talking about. So for another banner, Rebel Republic, Coach Schumann, prospectpodcast.com, huskyhub.com, rebelrepublic.com. I'm Steve Cully, best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back at life.